Hi, Habib, your friendly mechanic here. Today we have a 2000 Toyota Camry 4-cylinder that has a leaking thermostat gasket. I'll show you what we're up against here. Okay, what we're looking at is under the engine bay. Over here is the oil filter, and right here, this piece, is the thermostat housing. And you'll notice from the bottom bolt there was a drip. Watch again. There it is there. So that's been leaking. And as it's been leaking, the car is sat for 4, 5, 6 days. All that on the ground there. So we're going to go ahead and change that. A warning before we get started. I don't know what I'm doing. I have never performed this job before. It looks very simple and very straightforward, and there's really only one tool you need, which is a 10mm wrench. The correct thing to have is a swivel adapter for a 10mm socket, this being just a plain old 10mm socket right here. Nothing special about it. Okay, this is 1/4 inch drive. My wrench here is 3/8 inch drive, so there's an adapter for the thing to fit on it. But the only 1/4 inch drive wrench I have is this little piece of junk from China here. So I kind of have to use both of them, and you'll see what we're looking at here. The top bolt is easy, which is right over here. That you could just get any old wrench on. It's this one here that has the trouble because of the AC compressor here. There's not enough clearance with my big wrench with the adapter from 3/8 to 1/4 to get on that, which is why I have two wrenches. And being that this little wrench here is kind of a stubby, short little thing, it doesn't give you the torque that you might need. You do not, by any means, want to bugger up these bolts here, because the studs are on the block itself. The nuts are what you're going to be taking off. Some other things that would be good to have would be a drain pan. I just picked this up at the dollar store for $1, so we'll just shove that under the car. And of course your replacement thermostat and gasket. I believe it's just the gasket itself that's leaking. I'm going to throw a thermostat in there for the tune of $9. It doesn't make sense not to put it in while I have it open. Okay, next step is to drain the radiator. Like I said, being that I don't know what I'm doing, and I know to do that, I'm not going to bother draining the radiator, because I know that the coolant in this car is only about half a year old. So there's no sense in getting rid of that. I'm just putting the drain pan there just to catch whatever falls out when I open up the housing. Normally what you do is you go down to the bottom of the radiator where you'll find the petcock on it, and open that up, of course, with your drain pan underneath, and drain that out. In this case, I'm just going to stick it kind of under this area and let it go in there. Okay, we're ready to get started here. It's a good idea to wear eye protection. Oh, pardon me, safety third. Now what we're going to do is get our 10mm wrench and go and loosen those nuts. Alright, we're ready to loosen up the nuts here. I have pre-loosened these yesterday. The one thing you want to ensure is that you are seated firmly on that so you don't damage anything at all. I'll just go ahead and loosen that. Just a bit, and now we'll go to the other one. For that, I need to switch wrenches because I don't have the clearance with the AC compressor there. You see right here, there's not enough room, so you need kind of a short wrench. And we'll just get on that like that, and then we can go ahead and loosen it. Now we're going to just spin those off by hand. Now as you do this, of course, all that coolant is going to start coming out, and do not lose these nuts. So keep a nice grip on them as you take them off, so as not to drop them into oblivion. And of course, like I said, it's going to start dripping coolant out everywhere. You can hear it hitting the drain pan now. So there's one. And the other. we're just going to let that drain down for a little bit, and once that kind of stops, we'll continue. Okay, everything's loose now. It mostly stopped, so we can pull that away, and that will reveal the thermostat and gasket that we've come for. This should just pull out just like that, and there's the thermostat with the gasket. So helpful to remember which way the thermostat goes. On this car it's designed as such that it can't go backwards. This is the way it came out. So in other words, if you look at it, you had a whole big handle here to pull that out. New one is going to go in the same way. Okay, this is the old thermostat and gasket. I don't really see anything terribly wrong with it per se. I don't see any nicks in it or anything like that. But the rubber is certainly very hard and not very pliable, so it could have shrunk or something like that and not be creating a very good seal. Okay, here's the new thermostat and the new gasket. First of all, look how pliable and flexible and rubbery that is. So hopefully that was the problem. You'll also notice that there's a groove in there, and that simply fits right around the thermostat itself. So all you have to do is just put it on around there. This is a little bit of a fiddly process, so I'm going to play with that, and we'll come back as soon as I have it on. Okay, gasket's on. Just give it a nice squeeze all around to make sure everything is nice and even, just like that, and we're ready to install. Alright, time to install the new thermostat. It goes this way. Remember, like I said, it kind of gave you a handle before to pull out, and it just fits right in the housing here. Just got to press it in a little bit, just till we get everything seated in there. Just sort of like that. Okay, now that's in, and we can go ahead and put this back. There's two studs here, which again were where the nuts went. So we just put it right into place, and it slips right over the studs, just like that. And now all we have to do is go ahead and put the nuts on. The reason it's leaking now, of course, is because it's not tightened down. Okay, I have the nuts just installed finger tight. And we're just gonna run these home. And we'll switch to the top one and do the same on that. There's not a lot of clearance on this one, so it's going to take a little bit of time. Back on the lower bolt, and we're just going to alternate between the two until we have it tight. How tight? Just snug, and then a drop more is all you're going to need on it. Again, you don't want to slip off of these or anything like that. You just don't want to break these under any circumstances. So just snug and a drop more. Okay, time to refill. Turn your radiator cap and remove it. You'll want a funnel. That'll do fine. And refill with your favorite coolant. This is Ecto Cooler right here. That should do just fine. And they sell two different types of this stuff. They sell the pre-diluted and they sell the concentrated. Pre-diluted, they're selling you 50% water. So get the concentrated stuff and just mix it 50-50 yourself. You get more bang for your buck that way. How much is going to depend on how much came out. I had about a bottle's worth before, plus it was low on top of that. Don't go too fast. See, it looks like we're getting there. And the car is definitely going to take more on top of this. So we're going to have to start it and let the thermostat actually open. That's too much right there. Good. That's exactly what you want. Now sometimes it'll bubble and go down slowly. You can also squeeze the radiator hoses. Sometimes that'll make a little bit of a difference as well. Do that to your upper and your lower. See, that kind of bubbles it like that. So you can get some more down in there, and then you can fill that up a little bit more. Okay, we're going to leave the radiator uncapped. It's right where it is. It really doesn't want to accept any more. All of your tools are clear. Radiator cap will sit there, and my tools over here, everything here is fine. It's time to start this thing up. This hasn't run in about 6 days, so let's see. Beautiful. Okay, next thing you want to do is put your heater all the way on high. Shut the AC if you're so equipped, or if it works, make sure it's off. Okay, I'm sorry about the noise, but it does have to be running now. Hasn't gone down much yet. I also have not seen any leaks, so you want to monitor that as well. And we need to let the engine get up to operating temperature. On the outdoor temperature, this may take some time. The engine's ice cold. It's actually a pretty nice warm day, so we just got to wait for a bit. I am feeling just a tiny amount of heat out of the vent, but obviously it's still a very cold engine, so we just got to wait. Aha! We've gone down some more. Really what we're waiting for is for the thermostat here to open. That means that it's reached a temperature where the coolant that's circulating in the engine itself right now got too hot, and now it has to put it into the radiator. Now, once it goes in the radiator, you have a much bigger surface area. As you drive, the air goes into and through the radiator, and that will help cool that, and all the heat just goes out under the hood and under the car and wherever else. If it still is too hot, there's a sensor that'll turn the fans on. Okay, as you see now, that's up to temperature. The engine is slowed down. We're getting some heat. To pour some more coolant, because it got down to the point where it didn't want to take any more. We took some more, we wait some more, and then we'll see. Okay, right now I'm just revving the engine a bit. You see it's clearly up to temperature. Nice hot air coming out of the vents. And we're just watching that gauge. I put the radiator cap back on. It will need to come off again and have more coolant put in. But you cannot remove the radiator cap when it is hot. So you will have to let it cool down a bit. Otherwise, you're going to get burned and bad, and you're responsible for being an idiot, not me. Okay, it's sometime later, and I was able to safely remove the radiator cap. One of your best friends is going to be your hand, just like you would touch a hot pot or something, very quick, just to make sure. Kind of like that. It felt like, oh, it's just warm. And then using a rag on top of the cap, very carefully, while looking away, I open that up, and lo and behold, it is time to add some more coolant. Time to fire it back up. Now you'll notice the temperature gauge, if you can see it there, is about at the midway point. Just keep an eye on that the entire time and make sure you're not overheating. I put some more in. Radiator cap is still off. We have heat coming out. Looks like it could take a little bit more. There we go, we put some more in there. Really what it is now is a matter of keeping your eye on the temperature gauge, watching under the hood. Eventually you'll get steam coming from here. Again, like I said, I had the engine off for a while. The idea here is there's air in the system, whether it's in the radiator, in the hoses, in the engine block, in the heater core, nobody knows because we can't see it. So we have to run the engine, the water pump is going, the thermostat opens and it allows water to go through, or coolant to go through the radiator, and that's why we have the heat on the inside to allow the coolant to flow in there. And eventually, with everything open and off like this, the engine will warm up enough, the thermostat will reopen, and we'll be able to suck some more coolant in here. So it's just going to be a matter of turning it on, letting it warm up for a bit, shutting it off. But the main reason we came here, that thermostat housing and that lower bolt is no longer leaking. So the job is effectively done once we purge all the air out of the system. Okay, we've been running for a while. Nice and bubbling and boiling hot in there. Time to put the cap on. Use a rag or a pot holder or something, because that gets hot real quick. As soon as you put that cap on there, you're going to want to take your hand away. Be very careful. Don't burn yourself. Or shut it down, let it cool for a bit. Inside the car, nice hot air. Temperature gauge reading right in the middle where it should be. Eventually the radiator will get hot enough that the sensor for the fans will be satisfied to turn them on. When that happens is going to be a function of how hot or cold the engine is, and especially how hot or cold a day it is. If you're in a really cold climate in the dead of winter and you have the heat on in the car, you know how it takes just damn near forever for it to get warm in the car? Well, now we got a lot more we're going to deal with here. So you may actually even want to shut the heat off in the car. You could generally just shut the blower but leave it turned to heat, so that way everything circulates in there, but you're not wasting the heat energy in the vehicle itself. It's hot enough now, it shouldn't be a difference. These fans will come on basically on the order of any day now. The magic has happened. The radiator fans are running, which is an excellent sign. You can see some bubbles over in the overflow here. That means that everything is up to pressure. Anything that's boiling over, so to speak, is just going into there. And we're going to also make sure we fill up to the max line in the overflow bottle. That's important because this is basically a two-way system. Instead of the radiator cap popping, which it will do under certain circumstances, anything that boils over will go in this hose, around, and into the overflow container there. There's going to be liquid in there. It may bubble from time to time. If it gets too hot, the liquid will rise, and eventually it'll come out here, which is open to the air. It's an open spout there. So it kind of bubbles in at the bottom, you can see down there, and bubbles through that, and if it should fill all the way up and boil over, it'll come spilling out over here. The fans are shut off because the thermostat, the sensor, has been satisfied for that. You can see there's still some spillage here from before, so that's all going to burn off. There will be some steam for a while, and that's mostly it. I'm going to let this run for a while longer, make sure the fans come on and off as they're supposed to, and then we'll fill up the overflow. And the magic has happened once again. The fans have come back on because the sensor for them has been satisfied. What I'm going to do now is wait until they shut off, which should be right now, as a matter of fact. Now I'm going to shut the engine down. We're going to refill the overflow container. Okay, now we're just going to refill to the line there on the side that you can see. Right above where it's light and dark there, right below that is the line. That's just the sun coming in on it. So carefully I will pour some in here, and you should see the level start to rise. Just about up to the line, and that's good. Now what that's going to do here is this. You saw the bubbles in there before. There's still a little bit of air in the system, whether again it's in the hoses, in the radiator itself, in the engine block, in the heater core. We don't know because we cannot see. But eventually it will work itself through the system and sort of burp itself out through this bottle, and of course all the air will escape through that spout there. What you want to do at this point is make sure that you check the level again in a few days. You can check it the next day if you'd like. A few days later, it's up to you. But don't forget to check it. It may be a little low. And if it is, that's not a bad thing necessarily, because that means that there was still some air in the system somewhere that needed to be expelled. And it probably had at that point. So you can go ahead and just top that up. Keep an eye on it for a week. And if it doesn't go down anymore, then you shouldn't have any other coolant leaks in the system, and the job has been successfully done. The engine's been running for a while. Fans have come on and off, as you've seen. Not a drip anywhere from that, so that concludes this repair. You do want to make sure that you take care of the spillage and whatever had leaked off of the car in an environmentally friendly manner. One of the best friends here is going to be kitty litter. put that down, use a broom to kind of sweep it to suck all that stuff up, then sweep it up and dispose of it. Or you could just do what your local government would do, is to waste hundreds upon hundreds, if not millions, of your tax dollars and only put a Band-Aid on it. So if this video helped you out, please consider clicking the like and subscribe buttons. That lets me know I did a good job making this video, and I can continue to provide them for you. Have a great day.